move on to the next topic here today, which is the Transformers movie, Rise of the Beasts.
Oof.
Firstly,
Yep.
Dawson, what do you think of the Transformers franchise?
I really liked the first Transformers movie. I enjoyed it a lot. I remember seeing it in the theater. What was it, back in like 2008 is when it came out or
Yeah,
something? Like late
Seven.
2000s.
seven, I think.
2007, yeah. I remember going to see it in the theater. I was 10. And I grew up with the Transformers toys back when Transformers toys were actually difficult to transform. I actually took some mental power to do that because it made it fun. But I love those toys growing up. I had a bunch as a kid. And then when I went and saw the movie in the theater, like I really enjoyed it. I liked Shia LaBeouf's performance in that. I liked Optimus Prime's voice. I liked the action sequences, even though they're like overly Michael Bay. They worked for me just because it's freaking Transformers. Like, how are you not going to have them not do that, right? So I love that one. I was okay with the second one, but then the third one came along. Honestly, I stopped watching after that. It's not that I like hated it. I just kind of grew numb to the excitement of that franchise, right? I feel like if they would have just simply done like a 1 and 2, then it'd have been good. But of course, with Transformers, you're going to milk it for what it's worth. You're going to milk it as much as you can. But yeah, I liked it at the beginning. Not so much later on. I thought Bumblebee was okay. I think it did its job to a certain extent. But the fact that they're like going into like the whole Beast Wars stuff, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of Michael Bay,
Yeah.
and I like his movies for what they are, like popcorn-driven movies,
Yeah.
big visual effects, stuff like that. I
Fun,
enjoy that.
explosions, action. Yeah.
I don't think Michael Bay gets a lot of hate, but I don't think every director can do what Michael Bay does.
Right.
I think in his own right, he's very unique. Very much like Zack Snyder's unique to himself, stuff like that. Not the same director's writing, but just their style is unique. But I've enjoyed all the Transformer movies. The last night, which was the last one Michael Bay did, I didn't really enjoy that one as much. I think that's the weakest of them all, even though it's visually beautiful. It's probably the best looking Transformers.
They're all visually beautiful. I mean, let's all agree on that. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah. That one just had the cinematography in that one was just top notch, and it was just brilliant. But Shia LaBeouf, for me, I'm a big fan of his. I loved him in all three movies. It's a shame that he walked away, but he's walked away from Hollywood more or less. Mark Wahlberg took over. Thought he did a decent enough job.
I mean, Shia LaBeouf's hanging out at Disney World now, so
yeah, I meant a joke because Harrison Ford got injured on.
Yeah, that's what I was referred to. Yeah,
and Shia LaBeouf was supposed to be the next Indiana Jones, and here's he at Disneyland with a goofy hat. So that was pretty funny, I thought. But and Bumblebee, I'll agree with you. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't as enjoyed as I was when I watched the Michael Bay ones. I just wasn't as pumped. I thought it was fine. It was a fun movie and stuff. John Cena was pretty good, but it was just missing that extra something. But this movie here, Rise of the Beast, they're calling it Transformers 7. I don't know if it's the same timeline or what's going on, but I'll watch it, of course, because I'm a fan of this franchise. And we'll see how it goes, because, Casey, are you going to read the description, or do you want me to read it?
Well, if you can see it, then go ahead.
Yeah, well, this came out yesterday, the day before. Paramount Pictures announced in a virtual event this week the Transformers Rise of the Beast will come out on the 24th of June 2022, which is next year. Will focus on both Optimus Prime, again voiced by Peter Cullen, which is a really good thing.
Yeah.
In New York City in 1994, as we're introduced to the animal-centric Transformers like Air Razor, a bird, Rhinox, a rhinoceros, and Optimus Primal, a gorilla. Leader of the Maximals, as well as the monstrous Terracons and the villainous Predacons. Speaking about the move towards characters from the Beast Wars franchise, producer Lorenzo Di Benaventura said, "We had somewhat exhausted, I would say, the battle between Decepticons and Autobots." So it's going to
Sorry, I just had to do 90s, that to
you. What did you do?
All these words with Transformers.
I don't know. Someone needs to come up with better names. Yeah. I honestly think the Optimus Primal one needs to be changed. Optimus Prime and then Optimus Primal, that needs to be changed. I don't think that's going to work.
I think that's a funny pun, though.
It's taken inspiration from a 90s TV show that was called Beast Wars, of course.
Yeah.
And
which the animation for that was just
terrible. Really, really bad. If anyone wants a good kind of laugh or cringe, just YouTube that, because it's just not good whatsoever. But this is interesting. So, like, instead of transforming into cars, they're going to transform into animals. So that's basically what I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
I think Optimus Prime will be the same, maybe as a car or a truck, and Bumblebee is going to be in it as well, of course, and he'll be a car or whatever. But the rest of them will be animals and gorillas and rhinoceroses. That's
Mhm.
interesting for me. I don't know if that's going to carry over too well. Dawson, do you think that's going to carry over to the general audiences?
I mean, they had a Transformers T-Rex in one of them, right? Wasn't that the last night?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
last night.
And I mean, there's like over the years, there's been a couple of Transformers that have transformed to animals, and there's been a lot of toys of those as well, which can be pretty cool. Like if they are done well. As far as like in movie format, though, I don't know if I'm so worried about the Transformers transforming into animals as much as I am about the multiple different factions involved in this story. Because there's like what 5 different factions of Transformers that are involved in this, which
Yeah.
can get a bit messy if handled improperly. That's the main thing I'm concerned about, is it becoming a jumbled mess of different groups of Transformers and like what the intentions and goals of each faction are, if they're even explained. That's the main thing that I'm anxious about as far as this story goes.
Yeah, and
Yeah, Kissy?
and I will definitely watch it because I have, even though I didn't like some of them, and the last one I thought, like you said, visually was stunning, but the aspect
Mhm.
ratio kept jumping. That was one, no problem. But then it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was kind of cheesy, and the whole, hero turning on hero was very overplayed at that time, and the
Mhm.
story didn't quite gel, much with me. But I do like the other movies. I still think that the first three were, better than everything else. And the third one I think is my favorite, Dark of the Moon. I
Mhm.
just liked that concept a lot. And it was very kind of dark, and it was cool to watch. But that movie I think was the last one that I really enjoyed. After that, I didn't enjoy that much. But then again, I like Bumblebee. I thought it was a cool
Mhm.
little movie. That was different from what Bay was doing, and I thought it was a good. Um, it had mass appeal, and I understand why they had to do that because obviously this franchise is made for that, and they have to sell toys and all that shit. So I understand.
Mhm.
Even apart from that, I did like the performances. I liked the character of Bumblebee a lot in that movie. I think he was pretty
Mhm.
well done. And then the opening sequence with Optimus Prime on, basically their Krypton, that was
Mhm.
awesome. And
That was so freaking
yeah,
cool. I mean, to finally see Cybertron in live action, well, kind of,
yeah,
because it was all CGI, but like, oh, that was a Transformers dream come true. And then and the rest of the movie takes place in a small town on
yeah.
Earth, and I'm just like, "Ah, you guys were on the right track. Just stay there, please."
That whole movie kind of
Yeah,
felt like Man of Steel to me. I've said this multiple times, and it's just
Mhm.
the structure of the movie is basically like Man of Steel. You have the Superman, Bumblebee, you have Cybertron, Krypton sequence in the beginning. Then you have a Zod type character
Mhm.
come onto the Earth. They are basically in a small town. So all of that fits. I don't know if that was intentional from Travis Knight, but I think the movie was pretty good for what he was going
Mhm.
for. And I'm definitely curious to see where they take it. Now, I don't know if this movie is a sequel to that or in the same universe or it's, a standalone or, I don't know about that, but
yeah.
I'm definitely going to check it out. Even though I don't love it as much as I do love other franchises,
Mhm.
I still like to watch it because it's something unique and, there's
Yeah.
fun in it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have the poll case here, or did you not get time to do that?
I do have the poll, but I cannot bring it on the stream. So if you can see it, can
Okay.
you just read it out?
Yeah, I'll do it in 2 seconds. I just want to get some of the chat read here. Um, Philip goes, Beast Wars was the next step I always thought. Yeah, interesting. Maybe even the producer said it, the Decepticon and Autobots, they kind of already used that too many times.
Yeah.
Reese goes, that description makes it sound like a soft reboot. Optimus Prime comes to Earth in 2007 in Transformers 1. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second with the poll. And Philip Barker goes, the last night was a tough watch. I'll agree, at times it was
Yeah.
tough, but I still tried to enjoy it as much as I could. Edits goes, very interesting. Edits goes, Michael Bay should be only in charge for action, CGI, and cinematography. What else is there? Edits, what else is there? But yeah. I think, right, so if you got a director like Travis Knight, who's a pretty good director, but you brought Michael Bay on just for the action, the CGI, and cinematography, that would be awesome, but egos would prevail. Michael Bay would want to do everything.
Yeah.
Travis Knight would think this guy's taking over my movie. That's why you don't have, it's very rare that you have multiple directors working on the one movie.
Yep.
They have to be really good friends and really know how to work together, and that's very rare in Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. And Philip Barker goes, they made great toys, but yeah, the animation was questionable. But Frank says, bro, at the time the CGI for Beast Wars was cutting edge. I freaking love Beast Wars. I hope they use Cheetor. He was my favorite. And look, that's actually interesting because I didn't grow up watching Beast Wars. So I'm looking at the CGI in 2021 and I think it's shit.
Yeah.
But if you grew up in the 90s and you were watching that day one when it came out, it's probably the best thing ever. That kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to imagine.
It's just interesting.
Yeah.
They were trying to do something before they were actually fully capable of doing it. That's the thing. And that's why you see a lot of shows and movies from that time period that don't age very well, because they were trying to, advance the film industry with these types of animation in 3D, which is, groundbreaking. But whenever something's like breaking ground and something's like trying to be revolutionary, oftentimes it doesn't age well because people afterwards learn from mistakes done in that first attempt.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was the period when, Hollywood was experimenting with all of that stuff. And right now it's stable enough where you can use, basically, if you don't want to, invent something new for a movie, you can just go back to using what everyone else is using. But at that time, that was not the case. There was no standard as such. You always had to create your own style and do everything manually. So that used to be the biggest, hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did a poll on our social media account on Twitter at The Real Talk Live. You can go follow us there. We did a poll, and the question posed to our followers was, Transformers Rise of the Beast is based on the 90s cartoon, and that cartoon used time travel. Paramount has never said the Transformer movies have rebooted after Bay's films, but Bumblebee was in the 80s, Transformers 7 is in the 90s. Do you think the film will use time travel to reboot? And these are the options. Yes, time travel is going to be used to reboot the franchise. No, time travel is not going to be used to reboot the franchise. This is another option. It's already rebooted without them really kind of telling us.
That was my take.
But the other option was same universe as Bays. So Dawson, out of those four options, which would you kind of go for?
That's a tough one. I kind of don't want to say that they'll use time travel to reboot everything, because I feel like every other franchise is doing that right now. Over the past 5 years, like X-Men did that. Like the Flash is threatening to do something to that extent. You have a couple other things that have done that as well, to where time travel is like the MacGuffin that can help you start fresh. So I hope they don't do that, because that'd just be, using an old trope to death. I kind of feel like they've just softly rebooted it without really saying they have. I kind of go with that option. Because again, you have multiple different directors coming in there and multiple different things that just don't quite work together and don't quite line up timeline wise. So I feel like they're just kind of having fun doing what they want to do. And if they want to connect it, they'll connect it. If they don't, they're just like, it's Transformers. People don't care.
Yeah. KC, what did you go for?
Yeah, I went for, it's already a reboot. I could see the moment I saw the designs changed so much. And be more like the animation, apparently. I thought that they obviously did the reboot and they want to go the solo Bumblebee movie and then the big Transformers movie route. So
yeah, well, the winning option was it's already rebooted.
Boom!
44% of the votes was that. So you both got that right, guys.
Yeah.
Like my head is telling me it's already rebooted, but my heart is telling me it's the same universe as Bays, because I'm a big Michael Bay fan. So,
I understand.
Yeah, but actually, yes, time travel, that option was 35%. So people do think that they're going to use the 90s TV show as a platform, like they did, to reboot and use time travel. So they went back in time, or they went to the future and stuff like that. So they're thinking about that will happen in this one. It's going to be interesting to do that, but to do that with robots, with turn into animals, might be a little bit too
Yeah.
complicated for the average viewer to just want to see big action. But that was our real talk life poll where you